Hi, my name is Hannah. Welcome back to my channel. I am back. It has been so crazy. I have been in the middle of moving, and then last week we went out to Portugal for a few days. So insert a beautiful picture of Portugal scenery here. I mean, look at the view. That's where we stayed, and it was gorgeous and relaxing and so much fun as a family. So that was wonderful, but I have read a few books and I'm really excited to talk about them. So let's jump into the books. So this first book was just kind of a no for me. I read the book Train Dreams by Dennis Johnson, and everything in the description sounded really interesting. It's Dennis Johnson's Train Dream is an epic in miniature, one of his most evocative and poignant fictions. It's supposed to really kind of talk about the American West, and I just don't think this was for me. I didn't connect with it at all, and I kept thinking, what's the point of this? It was one of those that, had it been longer, it would have been a DNF, but since it was short, I was like, oh, I'll just stick with it. I'm sure that something will be really meaningful, and instead I just didn't get anything out of it. So this just wasn't for me. I don't know. If you've read it, how did you approach it? Because this, I just really didn't have much interest in. So for a really good 5-star read, I read the book Invisible Child, Poverty, Survival, and Hope in an American City by Andrea Elliott. And this was really well done. So this is following 8 years in the life of a girl named Dasani Coates. And the author, this was a long reporting gig kind of thing. She followed this family, this girl, for the long haul and wrote about poverty. And it was a very real look at things and a very heartbreaking at times look at things. I learned so much about just the social safety nets that are in the US and how they're failing people, and the struggles of a family to stay together, and maybe some alternatives. Like, it was really interesting, I thought, to learn about the foster care system and how maybe in a lot of cases it would probably save money and have better outcomes for the children if a home aide was put in the home instead of the kids taken out and separated and put in foster care. And looking at some of those alternatives I thought was really interesting. And it's so hard because this is a true story. This is the real life. In this kind of book, I feel like the little thing running through the back of your mind has to be, how is the author being there influencing events? And you could see that throughout. Some things were different because the author was there. And I think the author did try to address this. And I think that even with that constant presence of somebody watching what was going on in the family, just the events that took place are really indicative of some of the problems of poverty in the US. So overall, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was interesting. The author talked at the end about why she chose this family, and she didn't choose to follow Dasani because Dasani's life is very representative of people in poverty. Dasani had 2 parents in the home, 8 siblings, and that's not necessarily typical, but Dasani had a really amazing ability to express how she was feeling, and it was really helpful to be able to express the things that were going on and how they influenced this child. So I thought that it was really well done. I can see where the author was coming from. I definitely think this is worth picking up. The next 2 books were recommendations from Caitlin over at Bandy's Books, so I'll link her channel down below, and I'm so glad I picked these up. The first book that I picked up was Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. Now, the plot of this, so off the wall, just like so many crazy things. I don't think I've read a book that has incorporated so many random elements. So we have like this whole space alien sci-fi spaceship kind of plot. Then we have the violin teacher who is giving violin students souls to hell and to save her own soul. And I'm just like, these are so weird. Oh, and then we also have a violin repair woman trying to make a place for herself in the world. This book has a little bit of everything. I mean, crazy plot. I was really interested just because what is going on with this. But where I think it was really successful is I fell so strongly in love with Katrina, one of the main characters in this. She had so many struggles, and just her strength through all of this. I thought the author had some really interesting themes to explore, and the author focuses on a budding queer romance, a transgender character. You have some of those themes of being who you are and self-exploration and moving through adversity, and I thought that those were good, but at times, especially towards the end, I feel like things were a little bit heavy-handed maybe. But do you know where this book for me was so successful? And I can completely see why Caitlin liked this book, because the food descriptions in this book are incredible. I mean, I read this book in Portugal, and then what is the first thing I have to do when I get home? Make donuts. Just the discussion of donuts, it was great. I really enjoyed how food is discussed. It just was, I've read books about food and haven't felt as connected to a book like food-wise. This book made me hungry. So descriptions of food, 5 stars there. Excellent. Also, the description of music. I mean, I played the violin from the time I was 6 until I was 18, and I haven't touched it in like 12 years. And this made me want to find a violin. I'm like, I have a violin somewhere at my parents' house. I loved hearing about the violin stuff. That was so fun. I really enjoyed that. So for me, I thought there were some beautiful characters, beautiful stories, maybe some heavy-handed messaging, but I really enjoyed my entire time with this book. But the food and the music descriptions, just, I was in love with them. So yeah, I do recommend it. Now, the other book I read was When the Angels Left the Old Country by Sacha Lamb. And this was 5 stars for me. The description on Goodreads says, a queer immigrant fairy tale about individual purpose, the fluid nature of identity, and the power of love to change and endure. And this is following an angel and a demon that are best friends, and they are going to America to figure out what's happened to a girl who left their hometown. And the easy comparison is Good Omens. And I think it had something to it in an angel and demon being friends. But the plot's completely different. I don't think it was like too derivative of that. But where I thought it was similar was Good Omens. When I read it, I think, wow, I like this, but I think I like it more as the TV show. And I feel like this had the same kind of thing. Not that I didn't really like this book. I mean, like, this is a 5-star one for me. I really enjoyed it, but I could see how it would be a great TV series. And I think it divides itself into perfect little chunks. It has interesting things to keep it going. It's got the compelling characters. I could see, and like kind of the witty dialogue and the things back and forth. I can see it getting put into neat little episodes on Netflix or Amazon Prime and just giving me a perfect little series. And I really love this because it's taking some of that concept of the angel and demon being friends, but it's putting it in a very Jewish environment. And I thought that having some of that culture and some of that history was really interesting. So I thought that this was very fun. Yeah, highly recommend. I thought this one was just really kind of like wholesome and delightful. And those are the books that I have read recently. I hopefully will be able to get more on a regular schedule again in the next month or so. It's just a big time of transition right now, so thanks for sticking with me. And if you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you've thought of these, and I will see you all on the next one.